You're listening to Shoe In, covering the ins and outs of all things footwear, from sneakers to heels, loafers to slippers, and every type of shoe in between. Brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear.
Hey folks, welcome back to the Shoe In Show. Buckle up, it is holiday season already. Even as the leaves are changing colors here, we're already seeing Halloween candy on the same store shelves as we see Elf on the shelf and presents and Santa Claus and everything else that stores sell. And Matt, one big thing that we did see in our 2022 holiday survey, we surveyed 1,000 families across the country to look at what their purchasing habits were going to be this holiday season. And what was clear out of that, the biggest takeaway, I think, was stores are back. And I think the flip between 2021 and 2022 was almost a 15% jump in people saying they're back in stores and are looking to buy in stores versus that online experience. So we see these constant shifts in consumer behavior. And I think, trying to capture that and understand that as we, go through holiday, but also into 2023 is really important to our industry.
Yeah, I agree, Andy. That was an interesting report. And if folks want to get access to it, you can shoot us a note at info@fdra.org and we'll send it to you. But the fact of the matter is, if you wind the clocks back a year, we were facing the new Omicron variant. There was more intrepidation about COVID. And so I think the change is more of a bullishness on getting back in store, being more comfortable with the experience, the ability to try on product again, be social again. All those things are important. And our slowing sales as we enter into kind of this recessionary activity we find ourselves in is actually more dramatic on the e-commerce side year over year versus in store. So some of the highlights, but to help us kind of unpack this all and better understand what to anticipate for holiday, we have two really important people within our industry. And one is Marisa Kinney, who's Senior Director of Global Retail at Red Wing. And also with us is Alper Aydemir, who is CEO at Volumental. Marisa and Alper, thank you for joining us on Shoe In Show. We are super glad you're here. And out of the gate, Marisa, I'm going to start with you. Let's just ask this big question. At Red Wing, what are you anticipating for holiday 2022?
Yeah, thank you, Matt, for having me. I would say we really are anticipating strong results with our core consumers, their families, the comfortable being back in stores, like you said, Matt. We want them to be thinking of Red Wing when they're getting in that gifting mindset this year. We really are ensuring that our consumers know that Red Wing is a gifting option this year.
Yeah, gifting options are always good to have. And shoes we recommend highly shoes, and we recommend highly Red Wing. So I guess, Alper, let me ask you this. Can you share from your perspective, because you deal with a number of different brands across the spectrum, what are the things that brands will be focused on for this upcoming shopping season?
Yeah, I mean, we see this, the spike in our number of scans, number of profiles, emails collected during the season. And we put a lot of emphasis on just like upping the training of the people, right? The store staff, just like educating them, if you will, into the intricacies of explaining customer shoppers their fit, how to go through that whole process. And of course, we also typically have some new features and improvements to the product that is made for this to handle the traffic of the season. And that's a time where we also do a lot of report sharing and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's a busy time for us as well.
Yeah, and Alper, maybe you can also just share us a little bit more about what you're hearing from brands in terms of the holiday as well. Are they excited? Are they ready? We're talking about training, right? So I always think about the holiday staff. You have to bring in a lot of temporary help, right, to fill the store.
Right.
So some of that's very difficult, but maybe dig a little deeper into that too, and share what the brands are focusing on in store as they scale.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head with the new staff coming in, and then the the rush to like get them onboarded so that every single person that comes through the doors actually get the same consistent high level
Yeah.
experience, right? And that's really important because that may be somebody's first impression of your brand. And it's really, really important to get that right. The first time you may not get a second chance. And then I think another thing is that this time around, it's a lot of families also visiting stores, and maybe it's one of the family members actually that day looking to buy new footwear, but then that conversation can quickly grow to the other family members, and how do you serve them, and how do you capture everyone's information, and make that in a like smooth and efficient way. So that's also something that comes up with our brands. This year, I think there are a lot of supply chain, like still issues. And then it's about matching your inventory to the people that are coming through your doors. And I think that also there have been a lot of conversations around that, um, and that's a data question really. So what you have obviously in the back room, and then we kind of can guess, also looking at historical data, what types of sizes and fits and shoes that we should anticipate, right? And and you may be surprised. Like, I think what this enables is that somebody comes in, maybe they have a set idea, or maybe that store is used to selling a particular style or a set of styles, which they don't have very many of, but they have other things. But now, how do you actually direct the conversation to those, to do a bit of exploration of these, maybe stuff that you haven't tried yet, but like now is the opportunity to do that. So yeah.
I think, and on the inventory side, I think some people say, well, it's not rocket science. And actually now it is rocket science, right? Alper is a rocket scientist who started to work in footwear. So I just want to throw that in there really quickly. Maybe it takes rocket scientists to figure out the inventory and the FitTech world.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I've learned also. That you would think that it's simple, like retail and so on, if you're not from this world, but it's extremely demanding and it's extremely complicated, actually, because there's people involved, there's product involved, there's and you need to do that at scale, and there's technology involved, and there's logistics involved, and everything. So it may be more complicated than rocket science.
Oh, God help us. Marisa, as you guys look at the holiday season and think about FitTech and using Volumental in your stores, the first thing I think of is experience. Someone comes in and gets to use this really cool technology. And then the second part is helping match up with what's already in the store in terms of inventory, so you can more quickly match and get the customer what they want. Is that what you're seeing and what you're preparing for in holiday season? How do you view kind of FitTech fitting into your kind of your branding play for the consumer?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're calling this the ultimate fit experience. So utilizing the Volumental technology to ensure that our consumers are getting the footwear that they need, that we have in inventory that is going to meet their specific requirements, but also for them to be thinking about giving this ultimate fit experience to family, friends, gifting that experience, driving additional footfalls into our stores so that, like Alper said, we can provide that experience, that dynamic foot scan, provide them with in real time, what their foot looks like, what are the pressure points, in addition to the fit, right, the numerical fit that consumers are so used to. Let's get after volume and other characteristics of the foot, like I said, pressure points, ensuring that they have comfort in the footwear that we're providing them, in addition to other ancillary products that we obviously sell in stores too. But your inventory question too, we're in a better inventory position than we were last year, of course. And I think there's sort of a silver lining in that we've really been able to hone in and focus what our assortment is, and still be able to meet the footwear requirements of our consumers with the inventory that we do have, which is amazing.
That is amazing, Marissa. And I think it's been such a challenge over these last 2 or 3 years. We've been working with our members and the ports directly about trying to get as much inventory into consumers' hands as possible, as there's been this big chase for inventory. And now the challenge, as you well know, is inflation, right? It's prying that dollar that's ever more clenched in the fist of our consumers because there's nervousness, because things are more expensive. And we've been talking about on our weekly calls with our members about how inflation, the increase is starting to abate, but it's not going to come down anytime soon. So we're in this we're going to be in a hyper kind of inflationary elevated environment for quite some time. And so talk to us about how that's impacted Red Wing, and then maybe the ultimate kind of fit experience. How do you utilize that to maybe drive more sales and make it easier to close a sale with a consumer that's a little bit more discerning about whether or not they're going to throw down their money?
Sure, sure. Well, as you know, we have a loyal fan base, right? And the consumer engagement that we've had in the past and that loyalty, really we're doubling down on that. And we feel like that's going to get us through inflation. And it may come down to, the timing of a purchase, but the lifetime value that our customers have and give to us, we just are really going to lean in to that particular point, that loyalty that they have. I also feel like customers have this renewed appreciation for the experience that we can provide in stores, as well as the personalization really that we're giving them in this specific fitting environment or experience.
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we typically don't message, I would say, very actively around the holidays, but we are this year. And the message that the gift that keeps on fitting. That's really how, we're leaning into the marketplace and driving demand in that consumer messaging. And I think that's going to help us as well as we lean into the holiday season here. Do you like that?
I love that. And I think Alper's got to love it, because it's one thing to have clients that take on your technology and then plug it in and then kind of like, all right, let's see what happens. But to put marketing dollars behind the entire experience, Alper, is got to be like music to your ears, because it seems to me that if you're in an inflationary environment and you're trying to cut down on returns and you're trying to reward that loyalty that Marissa talked about with your consumer base, then FitTech is really helpful in that, because you have that elevated customer experience, because you can cut down on returns. You got to be happy to hear that Marissa's really, her team are taking this to the nth degree and driving this technology to the consumer.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think that, and Red Wing does such a good job with implementing this. And it's this like combination of an amazing brand, right? Super loyal customer base, but also incredible at adopting technology and actually executing it. And when we were rolling out, we're doing almost like 100 stores a month, right? And now actually just 10 days ago, I was in New York City. I was walking by on the street, and I passed by a Red Wing store, and I dropped in, obviously. And it's so amazing to see all that, like the brand, the heritage and everything around it, and seamless integration of technology. It doesn't take away from that heritage feeling. It actually adds more confidence to it if you do it in the right way. And in this case, the gentleman who was running the store, he was so knowledgeable about the products, about how to explain fit and like get you fitted in the right shoes. So yeah, it's a combination of several things. But yeah, we're just very, very happy to like support all be one of the helpers and support this.
Thank you, Alper, too, for recognizing just that experience in stores. And you said it, the training and the development of our people, making sure that we are providing that consistent experience no matter where the Red Wing store, anywhere in the world. So thank you for recognizing that. You guys have really been a partner in the education and scaling up this experience in stores.
Yeah,
it's really interesting to hear that, because I think that is a key thing, right? Like the consistency of the product that we have, the quality of product, but also the service that feeds into it. And I think back and I'll take you way back to the 90s. I was a nighttime manager at a Chick-fil-A. Some people may not even know that, but my it was like 6:30 at night, and the coffee had been on all day, and somebody came up and ordered a cup of coffee, and the franchise owner was there, and I was kind of like new to the management style. I like glared over at the coffee and thought for a minute, am I going to serve that or make a new cup of coffee? And so I made the right decision. I made a new cup and just told him they had to wait a minute. And I'll never forget, he came up to me and goes, that's a good idea. He goes, not just because you made the right choice, but because consistency is so key that any Chick-fil-A they walk into, they'll get a good cup of coffee. He goes, but here's the key. If you had to serve them a bad cup of coffee, then you should always serve a bad cup of coffee so they can expect that from you. And that just stuck with me about consistency being so key to experience with consumers.
Right. And I mean, I think from a technology point of view, delivering that consistency takes a lot of product thinking and like robustness testing and all of that. And I think that's you can only do that if you are a tech company in terms of from a technology point of view, deep inside. And so we're not, we're not an install company trying to sell like technology or whatnot. And I think that's actually, we spend all our time and energy into making that experience as great as possible. And we feel the pain when it's not great, and because that's how the organism gets better, right?
Yeah. What about like you were talking earlier about sharing data and data reports. What kind of, when you're working with different retail partners and different brand partners, what kind of data can they get from you? Because I instantly think like when someone's making product, if you're getting the right sizing data, you can kind of see your consumer sizing and what you should focus on when you're making the product. Like, why would you ever make a size 2, for example, if no one's ever bought a size 2 in 2 years, right? But you can see the data where it's like your core group is size 8, and if you look at your data, you're not making enough size 8s. There might be friction there where you're losing sales because you didn't make enough size 8s, and you should lean into that. Is that, when you look at the data and you're sharing that, I'm sure that's part of it, but maybe some other stuff too. So maybe you can share a little bit on that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I think Marisa can speak to this very well as well. But that's you don't know, what you haven't sold, right? But you don't actually know what people came in and you couldn't like serve them because you didn't have the right sizes in the right styles and so on. Nobody's taking like notes of that. But in this case, actually, as part of the reporting, you do get this like size distribution charts per store or area and so on and so forth. That's just like the meat and potatoes of the reporting that we give. The other part is a lot of the ROI metrics as well, and that's something that we started recently. It's been, I think, a few months by now, but like what we call a scan to sales ratio, returns, the impact of that experience being in the store. What is that? What is the impact on returns? And doing that in a really scientific way, because you can do a lot of, you can fit any line to any data points, really. It's easy to do that with statistics, but actually like having that clarity on that return on investment at a store level, at a regional level, and at a global organizational level. And on top of that, some of these metrics when it comes to email capture rates, right? Like how many profiles are you creating for your loyalty program once somebody is on the scanner and got scanned? We see a rate of across the bar 70%, but obviously some do it better, some do it worse, and the stores, when you have hundreds and hundreds of places, it's not all the same. So those are just some of the reporting statistics that we create every month, every week. But again, I'm going to emphasize it's all about, I think in this case, for instance, Red Wing's ability to take that in and actually create change and be an agile and like fast moving organization, which they certainly are. And that's what creates that magic. So it doesn't, we can send all the reports that we can, but it doesn't change anything if nobody's is taking that. But Red Wing is such a good example of the total opposite.
So, Marisa, as we close out, last question for you as lead magician, sounds like, at Red Wing. Talk to us about kind of the reducing returns aspect of this experience with Volumental, and maybe even how that plays into your sustainability goals as a company. Because at the end of the day, our members are really trying their best to kind of navigate the sustainability landscape. We actually have a survey that's out that talks about the impact our workers are trying to do, or what the impact they're trying to drive within the sustainability space. So this is clearly a top priority, and it means a lot of different people to sustainability means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But at the end of the day, when you're in charge of global retail and you're moving goods and you're dealing with experience, you're dealing with returns, how does this entire relationship and the use of the technology help reduce those returns?
Yeah, absolutely. Fit is part of our DNA. And I think Volumental, obviously, they are the right partner for us to put people in the right footwear so that we can drive down return rates. And honestly, we have a low return rate anyway. I would say we're about 13%, if you will. But there's still footwear coming back into our ecosystem. And when you think about sustainability, the returns vary across stores. It comes down to education and, again, providing consistency in the way that we fit. But when we do have returns, obviously we try and do what's right. And donating to local communities where we can, where it makes sense, I think is something that we're taking a look at. Decreasing the number of returns too has lessened our overall environmental impact. When you think about emissions associated with shipping, right? Shoes back and forth. And ultimately it's about just getting our customers in the right products, increasing the overall lifespan of the wear in the work environments and in the lifestyle that our consumers are working in and living in.
I love it. Andy, it's always good to have experts come in and make connections between a technology that's driving change within the industry, as Alper said, with a brand that's killing it, right, and doing it in a really effective way. So this has been a eye-opening case study for me, for sure.
Yeah, and if you're wondering why the branding device really doesn't serve the needs, we need to talk about that, but it's kind of funny to talk about because so the branding device was created in the 1920s, and imagine the shoes from the 1920s. Imagine the feet from the 1920s. Like if you go to any museum, like one of my favorite museums in the world is the Imperial War Museum in London, and it has tanks from World War One. And these people are tiny. Like we're giants now compared to folks. Like our feet are completely different. We have completely different uses. We have all these different things, and so. Like this idea that you're going to walk into a store and put your foot on a cold device that's going to measure your foot, and then it'll tell you your size but not tell you any information about what's in the store, right? So you still got all this friction doing it the old-fashioned way, and also just bending down, right? Like having to get close to someone's foot like that. Oh my God. So anyway, that's just me, sounding off on that. But yeah, I think it is a fascinating case study because if we want retail sales, we have to reduce the friction, right? So fit friction, sales friction. I mean, if you look on Amazon now, they've figured out like you just swipe right and it purchases the product. You don't click a lot of buttons anymore, right, on your phone. Mm-hmm. So mm-hmm. I think that's what we're getting at is trying to figure out what are the tools and technologies that create a frictionless environment where the person really likes what they see and they know it's going to fit. They take it home and they don't have to return it, and it's easy because, the returns even for the consumer sucks, right? I got to go to UPS and drop it off, and so they don't want to do that either. So I think we're hitting this point with Volumental and this case study we're talking about of really understanding our customers more, understanding their feet a lot better, and servicing them a lot better. So again, yeah, I'll reiterate Matt's points, but thank you guys both for coming on and sharing a little bit about what you're seeing and planning ahead for holiday 2022.
Absolutely.
Thank you both for having us.
Yeah.
Yep. And folks, again, shoeandshow.com is the website. You can catch our entire catalog. I don't even know how many episodes are on there, several hundred episodes. Many of them
345 or so.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot, folks. You got a lot
4
of
to 6 years.
Hey, listen, if you're bored over the holidays and you're sitting next to the fire and you feel the need to listen to some back episodes, go for it, because a lot of the episodes we have with industry leaders is focused on culture. So it's not like it's a necessarily a timely thing where we're covering something, but we're really focused on how we're leading in this day and age. And of course, today we talked a lot about the technology and how that folds in. So please go back and give it a listen. If something perks your interest or you see something really interesting, just take a listen. And again, we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, etc. So you can subscribe, and every single Monday a new episode comes out. And we really appreciate the industry support for the podcast and spreading the love around. And so with that, happy holidays, peaceful holidays, frictionless sales holidays, frictionless fit holiday sales. I'll add that in there too. And until next time, Shoe In is out.
Shoe In has been brought to you by the FDRA, the Footwear Industries Association focused on retail, trade, politics, and fashion, helping create and enhance conversations on all things footwear. For information about FDRA, visit fdra.org.